Anyways, what's up, ladies and gents? Welcome to perhaps my first episode of this new series I'm calling the Shadow Analysts, where I get like players, coaches, or even casters from other regions to basically watch MPL Singapore, because MPL Singapore is kind of wild right now, right? Especially week 2. So for the first episode, we're gonna have Gideon, not Gideon Buba. And by the way, you can scan that QR code if you want to give him free money.
Yeah, it's a real link. It's a real. This isn't a joke. This is not fake. I will take your donations. I will scam you for money. I'm that petty.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch this particular game. This is actually week 2, day 2. This is between Homebois Singapore versus Evil. So for some context is that in game 1, Homebois Singapore literally stomped Team Evil, and Team Evil was supposed to be kind of like the fan favorites. Everybody on the desk kind of voted for them. So right now I'm gonna invite Gideon to basically watch and kind of just run us through, especially how the performance is in game 2. But Gideon, do you want to say something about their previous game 1's draft?
On their game 1 draft, Fredrin versus Barat. That's pretty atypical. Vixana versus Novaria. Matilda somehow made it through the draft, and then they decided to go for Edith, and then finally it's going to be okay, Roger versus Moscow. I think it's interesting. I think this is the one. Well, there's not many times we get to see this happen, but the interesting matchup out of everything here, right, would probably just be the Moscow into Anip on the Roger, because this is still kind of theoretical, right? Because Roger is one of those like recent hot picks that people have been starting to pick up a lot more, and definitely depends on how good the player can actually pilot the hero. Same can be said about Moskov, and I think Moskov needs a little bit more map awareness in general, just to make sure that you actually use your ult. But generally, the way that I see it, so far, the biggest issue here is probably how exactly do you deal with the Edith, right? If Edith decides to like show up and disrupt Khalid, then Yuzong gets a free lane. If Khalid doesn't get any help from, well, not even Khalid, right? If Roger is left on a 1v1, he technically should beat the Moskov. So I'm just going to assume what happened in that previous game is that Moskov was left on an island by himself against the Roger, and somehow, some way, either Carrot or maybe even Sayla walked over into Moskov's lane and made the difference. Or either that Anip is just that much better. Wait a minute, I just realized.
Yeah, they swapped it. Yeah, it swapped. That was crazy, right? Because like because this is a very new graphic for us, so it confuses me. So I need to really zero in and focus and really talk about it properly.
No worries.
Yep.
No so the only way that I see the only way I see Evil winning is whether or not their two side lanes actually does something, and the only way that they're going to do it is through mid priority, right? Because you're expecting Vixana and as well as this Edith to be able to hard push that mid lane and kind of cover. They have to make a decision, right? Do they cover JayzCasts or
Twist.
Oh my god, please, Jesus Christ. Player, please pick a name that is memorable. What is Vrin No Cure? I'm just gonna call him No Cure, right? So it's either you either protect JS or No Cure, right? One or the other. Unless your game you have Emperor's Eye and you can make a hard read on where the enemy is going to be. So you're expecting the dual mid to actually work together. The jungler can kind of like do other things, right? He doesn't necessarily need to be part of the 3, but he can move over to Khalid's side or he can move over to the gold lane side, assuming that they need some help or needs to cover a lane, break a freeze, so on so forth. So I'm just going to, like, right off the rip, I'm only going to assume that either the Yuzong lane or the Moskov lane was doing very well for Homebois SG, which made this a lot simpler for Sayla to just be like, oh, I don't even need a toucher wave, I can just shoot you directly or make sure I can punish my mid laner, the enemy mid laner mid-rotate.
Yeah, that's basically what happened in game 1. I like the fact that you just like predicted the whole game just by, you didn't even watch the game, right?
No, I have not watched any of it.
That was actually kind of true. It kind of fell around that kind of playstyle in the end. Unfortunately, JayzCasts wasn't popping off. That was the main problem. And then after that, the whole team just crumbled. Twist couldn't find the kills at all as well. And yeah, it's true. It's like exactly how you predicted. That's kind of interesting.
Okay.
I I could never understand how you color casters can do this, man.
I mean, it's like fundamentals plus also understanding what the matchups look like, right? Like I've done like for me, what I know very very well are like the atypical matchups. Like I know what Fredrin and Barats generally looks like, right? Fredrin generally loses early, Barats generally has an advantage. Fredrin loses early, gets better in the later stages. Barats is good early, eventually starts losing his value in the later stages of the game, because he just doesn't have that type of sustainability in comparison to Fredrin, and Barats can actually like purchase decent items for the early to mid stages. Roger and Moskov, I know the Roger matchup extremely well. I've been playtesting it ever since it came out, and I've just been like checking every single matchup. Against the Moskov, it's actually pretty interesting. This matchup is very skill-based. As much as I want to say that Roger should hard stomp the Moskov, I can't say it with like full confidence. Like there's a 55% chance that Roger should win this, and that extra 5% really boils down to whether or not you can outplay the knockback from Moskov.
Yeah,
that's the one mechanic that you have to outplay. Everything else, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, the mid lane matchup, like this is pretty much a dead lane. Like nothing's really gonna happen here. Vexana doesn't want to interact with her, so she's just gonna push the lane, and then Sayla has to play off of his cooldowns. And if he calls over like Carrots, the Matilda to actually help push the lane, then Yun will also respond. This mid duo is a lot stronger than this mid duo in terms of like pushing. Terms of pushing their lane forward in comparison to them pushing back, right?
Yep.
Because worst comes to worst, all Yun has to do, he can absorb damage. He doesn't even need to rotate. He just has to block Sayla from like landing the Star Shatter in the wave. That's all he has to do. So again, a lot of these matchups are pretty atypical and nothing like too crazy other than like the EXP side and the gold side, which really makes the difference.
Yeah, I love this particular game when we talk about the gold lane, right? The Moskov and the Roger, I totally agree with you. The first time when I start seeing Moskov going up against the Rogers, I was like, yo, that's actually a very interesting lane. Alright, so let's move on to the second game draft as well. So we're just gonna scrub.
Now, I'll let the draft play out. It's in 2x speed, so we'll eventually get to the game, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the bans. I'm seeing Evil on blue side, Cypher, that means Homebois SG on red side, so their second pick. They ban out the Angela, they ban out... So they get rid of the Roger, they also get rid of the Harith, and then after that they first pick Natan, which is I think is fine generally. Gives you like a guaranteed late game. Then they get the Farmist Fredrin, they respond with Yuzong Valentina, so they then start targeting annoying junglers to deal with. And they kind of give away like a decent amount of information on their bans. Like for example, right? If you don't want to deal with certain, like when you're on red side, there's certain power picks that you don't want to deal with. And I think for Cypher, you just like the Loyi, get that shit out of my face because it's just annoying. It's not even about team composition at that point. It's more so that her utility is frustrating to deal with. And then they also got rid of the Minotaur, which means that Cypher is very much aware that he doesn't want to deal with like a strong team fight comp, right? Okay, here I'm gonna wait for this to lock in. Come on. You know what you want. You got like 12 seconds. This is at 2x speed.
Actually,
come on. Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
perfect.
Okay, you're actually right, because like, by the way, Team Evo is known for this crazy like team fight comps, right? So there's actually another game. Remember the other game that I was asking you to I'm looking at that. Bleed actually ignored Team Bleed for a good whole 10 minutes of the game. They just don't want to fight.
Okay.
Yeah, it's game one. It's just really funny how Coach G's instruction decided to no fighting. Just let them do whatever. Then they try to start out rotating. Bleed tried to out rotate Evil, but Evil somehow managed to catch Bleed into a fight, and Bleed lost because of that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So let's go through this draft, right? Like I said before, Cypher, Seifel, so far, the way that he is drafting is pretty straightforward, right? It's pretty linear. You know that he wants to get rid of like some strong power picks. Especially when you're on red side, there are certain things that you just cannot let through. One of them is the Matilda, which is very surprising that we see that Evil decide to get rid of. Evil on blue side decides to get rid of it, right? And I think a lot of it boils down to, if you see Matilda gets banned out on blue side, there's one more power pick that they're probably preparing for or waiting to see if your opponent is gonna ban it. So Matilda gets banned out here. Like, imagine we don't see the Roger, right? Then it comes back to Seifel, and he's already technically at this point he's only banned the Loyi. He sees, okay, we still kind of want to play around on it so far. They ban out what Evil is good at. Minotaur. Alright, makes sense. Don't want to deal with the team fight composition, you get rid of the Loyi as well, even more so. Both of these play for team fights. It makes sense, alright? Totally fine. Then we see Evil ban out the Roger, and as soon as we see Roger get banned out, Seifel is like, well, they have first pick. So we have to make sure that Anip actually has a good lane. They respond with the Harem. If they didn't ban out the Roger here, you would see that Seifel will probably change this ban. That's my like sneaking suspicion. My only problem with Evil as of right now is the fact that this Matilda, the Matilda is only threatened because you want this gold lane to do well as much as possible. And yes, Matilda can technically skew the lane in your favor, but I don't think Evil is well practiced in it just yet. I think I'm going to assume that they only to start pulling steam around mid to late game, right? Based on what you've told me, their team fight composition.
Yes.
Generally, team fight compositions don't usually want to play for the early game because that means one bad team fight means that the other team gets to bounce back. So that means they play for mid to late game. This is all under assumption.
Yes, something like that.
The Angela kind of pretty annoying. I don't personally, for me, I don't like it when blue side gets rid of the Angela, because what does that mean, right? Usually when you have Angela, I don't like her as a mid lane. This is personal opinion, right? I don't like her as a mid laner, but as a support, she does okay-ish as an enchanter overall. She's still relatively squishy and she's pretty good in the early to mid stages of the game, but you need an enabler, somebody that you want to actually use the heart guard on. This can be like Barats, this can be Alpha, as we've seen atypically, Ling sometimes. Sometimes it's even around the gold laner, right? Harith usually, even Natan has seen play with the Angela on top of her as well, but most of the time, what you want to pair it with is your hard divers, which in this case, I would assume that they didn't want to give that to Homebois. I don't know why. I don't know why they decided to do that. I'm guessing scrims or maybe some kind of information, but generally Evil just thinks that is bad. Like, they don't want to deal with it, right? So the first pick comes through and we get Natan. So that means, okay, straight away, Evil want to have a winning gold lane. That scales into the later stages of the game. That's totally fine. Seifel responds by locking in Fredrin and Faramis. Now, Fredrin and Faramis is kind of interesting, because I think that the Faramis probably shouldn't have been the pickup, and it should have been Valentina instead.
Yeah.
Because either way, it means that you're always going to have the Netherrealm. But this boils down to like the mid laner, like Buji in this case. Hey, are you more comfortable playing the Valentina, or are you more comfortable to play the Fredrin? And keep in mind, right, we see the whole draft here, but what Seifel sees is just Natan. So if he goes blind with the Valentina, that means Evil will completely skew their draft in another direction. Right? They can go for the Benedetta early on for like Swiss Army knives. They can go for like early junglers if they want to. Was Barats banned out here in the first phase? No, it wasn't, right? So they could have locked in the Barats if they wanted to, so on and so forth. So the Faramis is like, Fredrin Faramis is just very safe.
I like the fact that you mentioned about the Faramis first pick and the Fredrin first pick. I felt when I was watching this draft, I always feel like this is the Faramis slot, especially when you're on second pick, right? Then you can secure a Faramis for yourself, and then you deny the Valentina ban right here. Right? Do you think that Homebois may have picked the Faramis early just because, Buji plays Faramis. That's one of his pocket picks. That's one of his preferred picks as well. But do you think they should have hold the Faramis first? Maybe pick the Fredrin or even the Moscow first. You want to probably pick that first or something.
Well, I mean, let's think about this, right? This is based on the information that we have on hand. So my guess is that if I were to be in Seifel's head, it's either we pick up the Faramis now, or we pick a blind pick support EXP. one or the other. And I think that as of right now, it feels like, I mean, now that we see the full draft, like Seifel generally was probably setting up a potential pick for both Anip and as well as their roamer, and it's too dangerous to lock in your EXP so early on. Because if you lock in your EXP blind, right, it's got to be something like that's a Swiss Army knife of the lane, which would be Benedetta, which kind of tells them that, oh, it gives information to the enemy team that they want something that can access the backline. This could be a dive comp, this could be a team fight comp, we're not 100% sure, but then we can always lock in things like Xborg, for an example, if they really wanted to go blind, right?
Okay.
So at the end of the day, it's about denying information to Evil, and because you're on the red side, right, the power of being on the red side is to respond to the picks that Evil has. So we see, oh, because Evil is on blue side, they get to choose the power picks first, and then it reverses, right? Red side will then get to choose one more power pick on the fourth slot. Wait, let me get my pen. On the fourth slot, and then hold off on the very last to see the entire composition. That's the beauty of red side, right?
Yeah. On that point, I totally agree with you. On that point, sorry, Yidin, I cut you off there. Now that after you explain everything, yes. Also, I mean, Homebois could have also lost the Faramis over to Sayla as well, because he also plays the Valentina. So I think that earlier pointer that you asked whether Buji is more comfortable on the Valentina or Sayla, Valentina or the Faramis. Yeah, I think that's why Saifu decided to go for this pick instead of, you know, the conventional this Valentina pick right here.
And that's not all, right? That's not all, because like let's say if they didn't go Farmist here, right? They lock in Xborg for an example, and then it doesn't matter what the mid lane pick here is, because if Seifel decides not to pick up the Farmist within first rotation, that would mean that Seifel is like, well, either A, he's worried about another pick from the side of Evil, not too sure which role, because I don't know these two teams well enough to say for certain. The only information that we have is that they want to play for gold lane, and how they're going to do that is generally through as we mentioned before, the dual mid lane. It's not about who wins who, it's more so, can they push faster? Can they push faster than their opponent so that they can leave the lane first while still having the most amount of life? Because it's a trade-off, right? You're trading off pushing power for, like, we see this in Malaysia and other regions very often, right? If a team decides to have more priority over their opponent, then the opposing side will look for a more lane-dominant matchup. So that would mean that, oh, yes, you push faster, but I'm going to make sure that you lose 80% of your life before you leave this lane. So you have to use a regeneration, and by the time you reach the other lane, you're 50% of your life, and there's a good chance that you might end up dying if the jungler gets involved. That's if you have that level of foresight, right? So let's move on from that, right? Fredrin Farmis, they get locked in, and then Evil decide to go Yuzong Valentina. Valentina makes sense. The Yuzong is kind of interesting, because that would mean that Evil, when they were talking about this, they asked their EXP laner, who are they most comfortable playing? And they know they want backline access because they've got the stronger gold lane pick. So in team fights, it's either it's either you have like a strong backline diver, which would be in this case Khalid, Lapu Lapu, Yuzong, or Benedetta. Which are they the most comfortable in accessing the backline? And they probably said, give me the Yuzong, I can do something with this, and we will have like a decently strong EXP laner that might be able to turn the tides during turtle fights. That's what Evil have kind of like devolved down to, right? It's more so because we locked in this Natan so early on that everything else is now affected. So the order of picks is really important here. So we move on from that, right? Yuzong, they get the Valentina. Valentina to make sure that she can steal the Farmis, all very atypical pro play drafting. Then we go into the second ban phase, and I think this is where Seifel gets a little smart here. He decides to get rid of Edith, which they did see in the previous game. And they also get rid of the Baxia. So what Baxia tells me, right? Teams who want to ban out Baxia are teams that want to make sure that you don't have either A, good response to Fredrin, or B, you can double down on a comp that has some form of healing. So that could be Exactly. So it could have been the Rafa, the Florin, or the Florin, the Angela, or even the Matilda. These are your four generally your four enchanter style mages that you depend on, or even the Estus, arguably. But like that's a complete like Estus is in its own category because it's very special in that sense. So we move on from there. We see the lock-in from Moskov from Seifel, because that means that Anip looked at Seifel and was like, give me the Moskov, maybe we can have some global presence on condition, right?
Yes.
Previously, they had access to Novaria. Now they have to kind of help out, guarantee that the arrow is going to hit. And with Farmis and as well as Fredrin, that means like Anip must heavily depend on either Fredrin or the EXP laner, because somebody has to stun somebody to guarantee the hit. If not, he's gonna throw it blind, and even if like Natan is in lane and sees the ult come out, he's gonna warn the rest of the team like, hey, the arrow is coming, make sure you have your flicker ready, or like just move out of the way. Generally, this happens during like turtle fights, right?
Yes.
So now that we know this, right, with the first 3 picks, after the next 2 bans, red side gets first picked, and Seifel decides, you know what? Fuck them, we're gonna go for Florin. This guarantees a couple of things. Number 1, if they want to dive, they can absolutely do that. Number 2, they already have the Moskov, which scales pretty well in the late game. Florin also scales very well in the late game. If they get a lead, it gets even stronger. If they start falling behind, at least Florin has a way to start peeling off some of the hard divers like Yuzong, for an example, or maybe even like makes Valentina think twice if he can't find where Farmis is and needs to steal an ult right there and then. That's like a small thing. Most of the time, it's minuscule, doesn't really matter, right? Evil need to finish off their composition, but if you look at their bans, they're getting rid of like strong EXP laners, right? They want to make sure that this Yuzong is able to kind of fight back against Homebois.
Yeah.
And
that's why they went for the Yuzong, right?
Yeah, well, yes and no, right? There's two things that they were taking into consideration. Number 1, how do we maintain control over this lane, and how do we not give Homebois a way to disrupt our team fights? Because we know that Evil wants to play for team fights. Homebois, maybe there's a lack of identity, but let's say that they're good at everything, right? Both teams are playing at their best, but Evil knows that they're way better. They have a higher win percentage on team fights. So if they get rid of the Arla, it makes sense. It's either they pick it or they ban it, one or the other. And Seifel, he could have taken the Arlart himself, but he also needs to make sure that he has like a decent matchup for the gold lane. So he then decides, I'm gonna prioritize the gold lane and say, even if Arlott gets banned out, I trust that my EXP, there's not enough bans in the EXP sector to completely deny me, because it doesn't necessarily have to be Khalid, right? It could have been Thamuz, for an example, if they were that worried about the like early turtles, for an example, right? Early turtles. Oh, so what? We've got a Thamos. Thamos is gonna shit on the Yuzong for the first 4 levels of the game, and even afterwards, Yuzong is probably gonna get better, but we have a decent frontliner at the same time.
Okay.
So that's how they could. It's a give and take, right? It's all about that give and take. So then we see the first pick is Florin, and then Evil decide, all right, I'm sick of this. We're team fight oriented, but the hardest part about dealing with this type of composition is that Moskov is really mobile, and Fredrin is a bit of a problem. He's a really strong frontliner. So I think the Akai pick is not too bad, and I think that Evil recognized that, hey, Natan needs time to scale, and Moskov moves way faster than Natan if he lands the arrow. So therefore, how do we buy time? The question is, can we blow resources out of Homebois? And once they're out of resources, that's when we can start fighting back. So they need a disengage mechanic, and that's where the heavy spin comes in. And I think most interestingly, they also decide to get Rafaela, which is like the all-rounder for their composition to really like put a pretty little bow on it, right? Because Rafaela can show up in either the EXP or even the gold lane and make a difference in comparison to the Florin. Because the Florin, right? Because the Florin, her heal is good and all, but in terms of like how she harasses her opponents, not as good. Like the biggest lane that Florin can really affect is probably the Yuzong lane. Natan, I don't see it happening, right? I don't see it happening because Natan wants the wave to push in. Khalid, his kit allows him a little bit more leeway. right? So he can kind of set up the wave to be pushing towards him because Yuzong is going to be focused on fighting the Khalid when Khalid decides, I need to push. So it's the push and, once again, it's the push and pull, right? The Rafaela gives them a lot of flexibilities to their side laners Yuzong and as well as Natan. Florin, not so much, right? But Florin scales way better in the later stages of the game compared to the Rafa. So it makes sense, right? And then finally, I think this is the smart pick here. Khalid, because it doesn't matter what this Yuzong does. Khalid generally has a decent early game, and most importantly, he gets out of the lane faster than Yuzong. And that's roughly the draft. The way
and
that I
see
see
also reach Nathan as well at the backline.
Exactly, right? He can kind of like set things up. He's also an enabler to Moskov, right? So Moskov now has two enablers. He's got Fredrin, and then he's also got Khalid. He's also got Florin, but this one is a little bit like less reliable because of the duration of the stun, right? But now he has three ways essentially to get on top of his targets so that his ult is
always lands.
His ult is going to be successful. That's the main plan. So in terms of the way that they rotate, Florin can basically like show up whenever and however, but Rafaela is always going to be faster than her. So like Florin is very responsive to where the Rafaela shows up.
That's cool.
So the way that I see this draft is that Evil, the only way that they win this is either Yuzong gets like a significant lead in this lane. Like he needs to be shitting on Khalid really, really hard. Like Khalid needs to be 2 levels down, because even if Khalid is weak, his ult is still good. If Khalid lands a 5-man ult, it's like, it doesn't matter how weak you are, that's going to change the game straight away.
It's like an Arlot in a sense.
Exactly.
Okay.
He's like Arlot, but worse.
True.
So that's generally how I see these comps. I think overall, Evil responded pretty well to how Homebois kind of set things up. I do think that like Seifel has a lot of faith in Anip. That's for sure. Like something must have gone in scrims, and Anip was like, I'm really good at this Moskov, and I do very well if it were Roger or even if it's Natan, right? Because Moskov and Natan kind of do very similar things.
Yep. Yeah, Anip was kind of like carrying Homeboy Singapore in a sense, because Homeboy Singapore is like literally down in dumpsters in terms of like their power rankings, right? They did not have a very good week 1, and then week 2 they took 1 game off, and then after that they bounced back. So this is why I think Anip was very important in Homeboy Singapore. Yeah.
Okay, let me just change my scene real quick. Going back down to where I'm supposed to be as we go into the game. Now, I think that the most interesting thing about this game would probably how they play around, like how they specifically play around the turtle. These objectives here and here.
Okay.
Those are the most important, right? Because we look. Oh, wait a minute. We don't even see Inspire from either or. Interesting. Wow. I would have expected, if Anip was very confident in himself, he would have taken Inspire here.
Yeah, I usually build Inspire for Moskov. I was kind of surprised that the Purify comes in, but maybe because that you've got Powerful and you've also got Twist, right? You don't want to get catch up by the dragon.
Yeah, there's just a lot. I think generally, if you are confident, you take Inspire. If you're not confident and you're really worried in those team fights, because you can't expect to outplay everything. Oh, interesting. Wait, hold on. Interesting. Okay, you know what? Maybe 2 times speed is a little too fast here. Let's do it at 1.2, right?
Okay.
Let me just pull it back. A couple of seconds, because this early game is pretty important for both sides, because we know that they want to play for the top side of the map, right? They want to play because the turtle is spawning on EXP side, so a lot of the movement is going to be moving here. All right. Yeah. So we see Sap. He's pathing. His pathing is. He goes to purple, he moves up, he takes all the camps up here. Where's Little Wanderer? Little Wanderer probably spawned... Yeah, I don't see it on top side, so it probably spawned here, right?
Could be. Should be already taken already.
Should already be taken? That means Powerful is most likely going to hit 4 right off of this camp. Or at least very close to 4. So once he's done with this, yep, hits 4, so he got Little Wanderer. So we know that for a fact. See, look at the movement here. Everybody is associated with this movement. Everybody needs to make sure that their EXP laner is in a good spot. The interesting thing here is that the mid laners haven't moved out of this lane. I would have expected that maybe Florin absorbs the mid wave and then we see the farmers move up into it. They're doing it right now. Okay, perfect. This is what we want to see. See, both supports want to hit level 4, and then top side, even Sap. I love this. Okay. I'm gonna pause it right here. So, what I love about this the most is the fact that Sap decided to sit in the lane, right? Because at this point, he has no use. He has no use if he runs back down to bot side to try and hit level 5, right? It just means that as of yet, top side will be in the control of Evil. So what Sap does is that he helps both Bougie and as well as Cure fight for this next wave of minions. Because what's the one thing that Fredrin fucking hates is to sit in the middle of the pit. If he sits in the middle of the pit, that means Powerful has a free heavy spin to lock him against the wall and get a free retribution. Okay. So they want Evil to take control over the turtle first, and more importantly, hit 4 off of this wave without losing too much HP.
Yeah. So Sap being there kind of helps him clear, push away the pressure, and also helps Bougie and Vionokyo take to 4. Whereas in the mid lane, Yoon and Carrot is just battling it out to try to get to level 4 as well.
Yeah. And we know for a fact that Carrot is going to hit 4 first. Because if we compare Florin and well as Rafa's overall clear speed, Rafa has a better clear speed than Yun.
Yes.
Because again, with the blessing, she can basically hit the entire wave compared to Yun, who has to hit like 1 minion at a time, right? That's how we calculate this. So it's smart. I think that Sap helping out his top side really alleviates a lot of the pressure from both Bougie and Cure, because now we're going to respond to Evil rather than trying to fight for the tempo. So this way, we maintain the same level of tempo rather than just like giving it for free or losing a lot of HP just to do so.
Yeah, I feel like if I were Sap right there, I think I would have just walked off, because pop ranking jungler thingy.
I mean, like if it was Pops, most Pubs wouldn't even do this, right? They wouldn't even like help fight for this wave. Because most people don't see the value of this wave just yet. But in professional play, it's so important that your EXP and like everybody hits 4 roughly around the same time.
Yeah.
Because that's so impactful for this upcoming turtle. The only other way I see Sap playing this is that if he decides to clear if he runs like instantly after he clears his top camps, he says, fuck it, I'm not gonna go top, we're gonna give up pressure over this area of the jungle. You know what? Let's draw a little bit further. This area here will all be in control of Evil, and he's gonna be like, okay, I finished the beetle camp, I'm gonna run down, I'm gonna take purple, I'm gonna take this camp, and then I'm gonna run back through mid, and maybe I can stall, and maybe my team can stall out. Maybe my EXP laner by himself can stall out so that I can maybe fight, like out-retreat him because I'm a level ahead. But since he already lost Lethal Wanderer, it seems like there's not enough time. So this is why this is a very good decision from their jungler. So they play this out, and Cure, he doesn't mind losing a little bit of HP. We see it all in, and they fight for this. Heavy spin, first blood. Oh, that's a big whiff.
Yeah.
That's a big whiff. Not ideal. Oh, Bougie, please tell me you live. Okay, he lives. Thank God. Ooh! No, Carrot tries to flicker for it. Doesn't matter. Cure comes back into lane. Okay, I can tell you exactly where the mistake happens.
Okay.
So they play this out. Wait for it. Okay. They do this. They do the hover thing, and then they're supposed to fight for the wave in just a little bit. Okay. Then they rotate, and then they come to the top side. Everybody's waiting for this to happen. Blah 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 blah. They're still juggling around. They're not level 4. Okay, Bougie walks up. All right, keep your eyes on their EXP laner from Homebois SG.
Okay.
Here's the mistake right here. This is kind of dumb, personally. So
no level 4. You should be trying to get to level 4 first, right? Is that why?
Here's why I think this is not the smartest of decisions, right? Because you are banking on a 50-50. You are banking that you can outplay 3 people who are about to hit level 4, right? Okay. Everybody here is about to hit level 4. you're hoping that Sap and Bougie can kill this minion faster than Twist Powerful, maybe even Sayla, right? Using the Shadow Strike to get rid of this minion, right? So when Vin jumps in, Powerful can instantly use the heavy spin to lock him in place right here, right? And there's nothing Sap and Bougie can really do about it. They just have to kind of like watch and hope that Vin is able to like spam flicker in time and hop this way, or maybe even hop this way. It really doesn't matter where he hops to, right? But the main issue that I have here is that there's no reason to fight for this. It doesn't matter if you give that level 4. Like, Vin is thinking in his head probably that he could outplay this by hitting 4, goes for the Sand Tornado, and hits like multiple people and chunks them all out. Putting 2 people, maybe at the very least putting Sayla out of the fight, right? Wait, is that Sayla? Yeah, Sayla out of the fight. And play this in slow. I'm gonna set it at 0.5, right? We'll see how this plays out. Oh, guess what? They all hit 4 because Twist smartly gets rid of that wave. Vin is like, oh shit, they hit 4. I need to get rid of this one minion to make the difference. And guess what? He still doesn't hit 4. He's a little bit off.
Okay.
He's a little bit off. Right?
So instead of spinning back, he should spin towards that minion and perhaps hit 4 quickly.
Like, this is nitpick. Honestly, to me, it's not that big of a deal. I'm just nitpicking here on a micro level, right? And I think technical coaches would agree with me on I don't know if technical coaches would agree with me on this one, but somebody needs to communicate, hey, clear up the wave so that we can all hit 4 and then maybe we can 50-50 it and get a couple of battle spells. If you're trading equally in resources, which is your battle spells here, right? If you can get like a heavy spin out of Powerful, oh man, Sap is gonna be such a big boy. He'll be so strong because Sap loses his one tool to give him an edge over the turtle fights. So
and Sap
that's
could
where
just
I
sit
think
in the turtle pit.
Exactly. That's the whole point, right? The whole point was to make sure to give Powerful the initiative to sit on top of the turtle, and then Homeboys can respond accordingly. And even if, let's say, Evil take that first turtle, it doesn't mean that Homeboys can't trade back harder. So that's where that was one of the issues that I have. So Vin, he goes in, he gets like a chunk on Sayla. Sayla is like, oh no, I'm like 60% of my HP. But notice where everybody is standing. They're trying to respond to this. Everybody's trying to respond to this when somebody needed to get rid of this one minion and then walk away. So we play this out. Sap jumps in, he hits Powerful. Powerful, great trigger finger, doesn't even bother using his ult. He's holding it. They chunk Sap, Cure, Bougie. They want that level 4. And the worst part, mid lane still not level 4. So that means at some point of time, the mid laner missed out EXP. Twist jumps in, he hits 4, he uses his Petrify. Sayla smartly steals the ult, shits on him. And then it's GG. At that point, once that one kill goes through, that's when Powerful has the green light. I would rather have a 5v4 than having to contest in a 5v5 against the Fredrin using my heavy spin.
So that's when you see to use heavy spin.
Exactly. So he wants to guarantee this kill. He wants to guarantee this kill no matter what. Like Twist, he's already committed the Petrify, so they need to get something for this. If not, all of this was wasted. Even the Black Dragon form is used, right? Play this even more. Jumps in. Okay. They walk back in. Gets the pull. Sap responds. And then Sayla is like, wait a minute. Hold on. I could maybe affect this. Hits him. Gets behind him. Twist is like, it's alright. I'm building up that shot residue. I walk away. As long as I don't get hit by the Appraiser's Wrath, then it's totally fine. And that's where you see the body slam come in from Powerful to save Twist. Sayla walks back in. Dashes out of the way from the middle of the Appraiser's Wrath. Does nothing. Does literally nothing to Sayla. Yeah. And they get a free kill onto Sap when Twist jumps back in, and they also manage to get the fear off of Sap. So I think that Homebois SG, they didn't have to do this. They didn't have to. They decided to coin flip this fight, and they ended up losing 3 people for it. Wait, did they lose 3 people or did they only lose 2? I think they only lost 2, right? Yeah, Bougie here, and then Yun manages to save Bougie's life because he hits level 4 and pops his ult, saves his life. And
But it's a really close call, right?
It's a coin flip that didn't need to happen.
Okay.
It really didn't need to happen at all. Homeboys would have been totally fine giving control to Evil for that turtle because they would rather be out here. Wait, sorry. Let me just pull that back real quick. Because then it makes a lot more sense. So Evil very much would prefer to play outside the area of the turtle. So they would rather be playing in this section of the map rather than standing in the middle or holding it here or holding it here or holding it here. Because if they hold in any of those 4 spots, then there's a good chance that Powerful is just gonna push them away, right? If let's say Sap is standing here, that means he's gonna get pushed this way. If he's standing inside the pit, he's gonna get pushed towards the wall. If he's standing outside of it, though, then he has a couple of angles to play with. He could maybe jump over the wall in a weird angle like this, maybe even like jump towards this side, and that forces Powerful to stand in a bit of a weird spot, right? It forces Powerful to stand like, let's say, if Sap is standing outside, let's say the most amount of coverage, right? If Sap stands here, that means Powerful has to stand here.
To be ready to pin him to the wall.
To be ready to pin him to the wall. Or this is like scratching the surface. This is surface level stuff. Because I don't think Powerful even wants to stand here. He wants to pull this turtle to his side. Because as soon as you see Sap on the outer area, in the most like the outer area to get in range to retry the turtle, Sap needs to be in position to zone him away with the heavy spin. He does like the maximum amount of impact is if he locks him against the wall, right? But generally, he wants to push him away from the turtle so he gets a free retry.
Okay.
So that's the really scary part here. Because if, let's say, Sap decides, oh, if I walk too far this way, that means the rest of the team walks up this, and they start killing off the backliners who have no frontliners to help him. Just get rid of all that. Get rid of all that real quick. Scratch that. All right, so let's play this out. Now they basically said, okay, let's reset Powerful level 5, Sap level 5. Both of them don't really want. They're gonna wrestle for it again. Woo, emblems. Let me check the emblems real quick. Common emblem from Rafa.
Actually, during the cast, some of the casters pointed out, Moment and Hola, they pointed out, oh, it's Rafaela on Brave Smite. What do you think about it?
I think that Rafa on Brave Smite, I think it's interesting. I think that it tells you the purpose of what Rafa wants to do.
Stay outside.
She couldn't. Well, not stay outside. I think in this game, Carrots recognizes that he is susceptible to a lot of things. He's susceptible to just hard dying to anything, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think Brave Smite is a terrible emblem to have. I think it's really good to keep you alive in some really tight spots. And because again, it has a really low cooldown. Yeah. He even went for the common emblem. So you can see what he wants to do. Like if he took Focusing Mark, for an example, and support emblems, then you know that he has a completely separate mindset, right? It means that he will eventually run out of mana, but for the majority of that time, he's going to skew the laners in their favor. But now that he takes Brave Smite, he's going to have more impact with his presence alone, and he will have the HP to do so. So he can take free trades against Florent, and it doesn't matter. He can take free trades against Khalid, and it's not going to matter because he can top himself up full because he has not only the mana but also Brave Smite to shorten the amount of time that he needs to get back to that healthy state.
And plus the Wilderness Blessing and the movement speed, he's just going around the map.
Exactly. So it's all about presence. This build, this emblem build here, it's all about presence. And then you see the opposite side, right? Focusing mark, support emblems. Like Yun wants to scale. He knows he cannot compete with the Rafa, but at the very least, my biggest issue, I don't know if this is my biggest issue is that he doesn't have Wilderness Blessing. That's my only issue here. Because it kind of means that he's greeding out. He wants to make the cake and eat it at the same time. But that's like a small thing. In the larger scale of things, it doesn't matter. But I'm just nitpicking here, just for the fun of it. Wait, hold on. Fighter Emblem, Master Assassin, love it, love it, love it. I would have preferred if Vir didn't go for Concussive Blast, only because probably not Quantum Charge. I think Brave Smite probably would have been a little bit better here, only because he's gonna be the dedicated like diver. So he needs to live. That Concussive Blast, yes, it's good for the earlier stages, and it helps him a lot to control the wave and trade against the Yuzong. But at the end of the day, you already have Master Assassin, right? So no matter what, your trades are going to be more effective than Twists on the Yuzong, as long as he doesn't proc the Sha residue.
So this is very early game greedy kind of style of
it's very much it's early game oriented, and it tells the Yuzong that his trades are not going to be very effective, and worse yet, that Khalid is always going to have more control over the lane. Imagine this, right? Imagine this. If Khalid walks up to the Yuzong's natural response is to pull backwards. But if Khalid uses S1 to trade against the Yuzong, he loses his main ability that forces the wave against the Yuzong, right? So now that he has Concussive Blast, he can trade against the Yuzong, no problem, but he can hold on to a couple of charges of his, it goes in threes, right?
Yep.
He goes 1 spin, 2 spin, 3 spins. He can go 1 spin, 1 spin, Concussive Blast the entirety of the wave, and then second and third, and he must trade against the Yuzong inside of the wave, rather than run at him. So therefore, even if Yuzong wants to trade back against the Khalid, the wave is pushing against him. And it's like, man, he's gonna walk away from this lane, and if I chase him, I'm gonna lose minions.
Okay.
So again, it's a give and take. I'm not saying it's correct or wrong. I'm just saying this is like what the information that I'm pulling out of this.
Playstyle,
everything. Yeah, playstyles. It comes down to the player. That's why the custom emblem system is pretty useful. But right now, Twists is currently at 2 kills, so he's a pretty big boy, right?
Yes.
At this point, yeah. See, look, even Cure is thinking like, man, I really wish I had Brave Smite right now. No constant Concussive Blast, commits all in, gets the lockdown.
That's the powerful sap. Yep. That's the positioning that we're talking about just now.
Exactly, right? It plays out exactly how we expected it to be. And Sap, unfortunately, he just lost the retry fight. Nothing much he can really do about it, right? It's just you're spamming your retry, hoping that you can do something when you're pinned against the wall. But that's fine, right? Because Homebois SG, as of right now, all they care about is scaling.
Yep.
They've already lost the early interaction, so the next couple of turtles is going to be tough. Anip gets the lane, he doesn't miss a single minion, beautiful. Yeah, Vin is like thinking, man, I really wish I had Brave Smite right now. But it's fine. He tops back up, and he's winning out on these trades overall. Totally fine. We see the movement on bot side because Natan needs a little bit of help. He doesn't want Anip to eventually set up a freeze, and they can start fighting for like the River Crab, for an example. Sayla gets a free move here. Trades against Puji. Totally fine. Both junglers are on the top side of the map. They're going to do this all over again. But this time, Sap's not going to show up in lane. Ah, interesting. Okay, so we see powerful double check. He walks up, double checks, notices that the Fredrin hasn't done this one camp, and now he knows exactly how many camps he has left. So now he's a full level ahead. He's totally fine with this. And I'm pretty sure he was able to steal away a camp at the same time. Okay, takes a trade mid. On it comes. Huh. Wait, let's play this sequence again.
Yeah, I was also kind of weirded out by that dragon movement.
Interesting. So what exactly happens here, right? So Sap moves down. They have all 5 of their members. They've done the traditional marksman lane swap here, but something happens that changes their mind about something. Sayla has the Netherrealm. Okay. So Bougie gets the initial hook. Sap starts to walk up here, which is particularly dangerous because nobody has even checked this bush. They're not sure how many people. All he sees is powerful. I think he also sees twists here, but he figures out where Carrot is, and I'm guessing that Sap wants to burn Sayla's ult. walks up, realizes that this is a bit hard. Carrot slows him down, so he pokes. Then he jumps towards the enemy jungler. Because now we're seeing that Cure, he's about to walk up. He's about to walk up here, and maybe if maybe they might get a kill on the enemy jungler. That's what I think is gonna happen. Okay, stun, and then we see the arrow come down. So the call was made. The call was made, and Vinyu Cure decides to trade against the Yuzong here.
So actually,
oh wait, he actually commits his ult.
Correct. So if you notice how Sub decides to fight Powerful right there, maybe it's telling Anip to basically, oh, I caught somebody, can join the fight now after you push up your wave. Because if you notice where the JayzCasts is, he's now having to deal a push coming up from Anip.
Yeah. So Anip already cleared his lane really quick and wants to turn this into a 4v5. I don't think this is the right setup for it though. I think that like if Homebois SG wanted to make a call, I don't think that is wrong, right? But I think they needed to set it up better. They need some target priority. They need to decide who is more important to jump on, Powerful or getting rid of the Black Dragon form. Because from EXP standpoint, if I get rid of the Yuzong, it's going to be a lot easier for the rest of my team to deal with Powerful. In the jungler's mind, both of them are really fucking annoying. So I will take, it doesn't matter who, if Powerful dies or if Twist dies, as long as one of them dies, it's worth my time because it makes my job a lot easier. Ideally, it's Powerful because he's a level ahead, right? So that's why I'm guessing that Vin decided to try it all in. They break the Black Dragon form super early on. And this is actually pretty decent.
Oh, by the way, it's Via. Via no cure.
Via no cure, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, they go into the fight. NetherRealm gets popped. Twist is kind of low, but they need to like start finishing people off. Anip is getting zoned off. They find one in Twists, and then they commit again. So who got the turtle just now?
Powerful got that turtle.
At this point, they should have just ran.
You mean Homebois?
Evil.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like, let's pull this back for a second, right? Because they had an ample amount of time to decide what to do. So at this point, right, I feel that like in Powerful's POV, he's locked them against the wall. Holy Baptism comes out. They guarantee get this turtle no matter what. No matter what, right? And I think that Powerful is already so low and Twists is super low. He's really, really low. And he goes into the... And this NetherRealm feels like it gives them false confidence because it means like, oh, see? Veer and as well as Sap, they lost their temp HP. So he jumps to the backline to try and make something happen here. Petrify? Veer flickers out. So that's one person that they can't take out of the way. Then now it's like, can we kill Sap? And unfortunately, this is a 4v5. I personally believe that getting the battle spell out of Veer is okay, but I don't think it was necessary. I think worst comes to worst, Twist sacrifices his life, everybody needs to back off.
And there's a 4v5. They have not enough damage in this kit.
Yeah, Natan is just... He's not there. He's not there. You just need to take that turtle, back off. And even Veer, he's chasing down Akai. He wants to get... He doesn't care. If he trades 1-for-1, it is so worth it for Sap. Because now it gives Sap an opportunity to actually catch back up. Man, you guys... Oh my god, you guys really like fighting here. Like, Sap is still fighting. And Natan gets a trade. 2 for 3. Still not too bad for Homebois SG. It's not
Welcome
too
to the
bad.
Welcome to the Wild South, you know?
Oh, no. The Wild South is MAL, man. That stuff is whack. At least macro-wise, the decisions that are being made from both Homebois and Evil are pretty good. They are pretty good decisions. I think the biggest issue that I see is how they team fight. They need to target prioritize. No. It's not even lack of discipline. Like I appreciate teams who are willing to make a call on the fly, right? But it feels like not everybody is connected with that play.
Okay.
Like at any point of time, Carrots could have communicated, hey, my heal is going to be heal in how many seconds? Because then it tells Evil how many seconds they have left to make the play work and use that heal to get back out. Another full-on team fight. Black Dragon form comes out. Wait, what happened there? How did it go so badly for Evil?
Yeah.
I thought it was like okay. I think
Vianokir engaged first, and then after that, Twist came in with it was a perfect moment for Twist. He has his Petrify as well, so that's why I was like also confused about that one.
Okay. So we see Sapyun and Anip. They walk forward. The taunt goes off, and then they go for the team fight. Where is everybody standing? Okay, Veer is on his way. Twist is a little late to this because the wave just got pushed, and he wasn't expecting the movement from Veer. He should have already left. He should have already left the lane at this point. So he was a little slow on it.
But he's a Black Dragon form. He's fine.
Okay. Okay, he jumps back in. Oh, okay, right here. So yeah, I was right. Anip does get like a really good knockback. He stuns two people. Veer gets in, commits to it, and now Powerful has to use his ult. Jis is so low. He's in so much trouble. He can't get out. He finally gets out of there with the entropy, and they disengage with the Black Dragon form.
So is the Anip stun that won the game?
No, because technically they didn't get a trade back. Oh, as I was about to say, they didn't get a trade back.
No, you just said they also take the mid lane as well.
Yeah, so it's like it's a little unfortunate. They lost quite a lot for this. I mean, initially, like, in terms of foresight, we knew that they were eventually going to fight on purpose for the turtle anyways. So it's in Homebois' favor to actually fight outside of the turtle where there's very low stakes. I just think that, like, it's unfortunate that Carrot ended up dying and they lost that mid-tier 1. Really, really unfortunate, actually, because I think Evil played that really well despite shit about to hit the fan. Like, Powerful and Twist played it really, really well. Okay, so they ended up losing this. What happens next? Because we're still looking for when the win conditions come through, right?
Yeah.
Win conditions being, in this case, Anip and as well as Natan. When do they come out online? Anip gets the Trinity build. He's ready to fight. Jis is probably not ready to fight yet. Rotate top, 6 seconds. Okay. Oh. And they also give Bloom over to Anip, so Anip is like extra strong right now.
Extra buffed, yeah.
Yeah, because he gets the on-hit effect from Bloom. Okay. Alright, they're just letting them have this. They're trading tower for tower, bot for top. Yep, they can't kill Powerful, and Powerful knows that. But they're not covering the tier 2. They're willing to trade the tier 2 as the Black Dragon form. Get out of there, buddy. Run. What?
He chose to land there,
That's so wild.
Yeah, he chose to land there, right?
That's so fucking wild. Wait, and then Anip is gonna get even more from this. Sailor ends up dying for this. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's why Anip. That's why they really. Homebois Singapore really likes the Moscow.
Oh,
that's why.
Oh man.
And there was no setup for Anip, right? If you notice, he just landed that.
He just did it. He just did it.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Okay, so you can see the different decisions that are being made at every point of this sequence. So they're trading tier 2 for tier 2, right? So here we see tier 2 being taken. Natan also is going to trade tier 2. They don't mind trading this at the end of the day, but they shouldn't be fighting. They shouldn't be fighting unless the angle shows itself, right? The opportunity to actually get a good fight. Like, he uses the entropy. This is atypical. This is fine. Twist, he's gonna try and fight for this, and I think that's okay. As an EXP laner, you need to buy that extra bit of time, because as much time as he's wasting here, it gives more time for Natan to actually make his way down to that mid wave and maybe take out a mid tier 1. I don't think he can get. Definitely not get that inhibitor. But even if he doesn't get mid tier 1, right, he's still in position to join this fight if it escalates even further. So this is okay. This is totally fine, totally fine, totally fine. This is where I think the problems start to emerge. I don't think that Twists noticed where the Fredrin was last seen. He was last seen here, on this sector of the map. Actually, you know what? We can even double confirm it. We can even double confirm it.
Yeah.
Where the last scene was. Yeah. He knows that Fredrin is mid. He knows Fredrin is mid. Wait. Just watch the minimap and look on the bottom side for the information. Okay?
Yeah, even
Just,
the powerful
he sees
knows
one
it.
camp up.
Yeah.
He sees one camp up here. He's gonna take that tier 2, and Carrots has also revealed that there's nothing on this side of the map. So they know that everything here has been taken. So there's no reason for Fredrin to walk down here. He either has to either walk up, or he walks down, and if he walks down, Powerful should spot him.
Actually, powerful spotted him walking that way already.
Did he? Alright. Let's check it out. Oh, he does! He does spot him!
Yes. Even before that, actually. Powerful is actually on Sub's toes.
What the fuck? Then why did he take this?
It's actually on purpose, right? Because I'm pretty sure the Black Dragon form duration is actually longer than that.
It is longer. It is longer.
Yeah.
What he could have done was flown across and then flown down towards where Powerful was walking up to, which was here. And then, worst comes to worst, they just lose a heavy spin, which is not that big of a deal, because there's still 46 seconds until the next turtle comes up, right? It's about wasting time, and I think that's what they're thinking. If we waste just enough time, maybe we can, like, this minion is going to die. Natan takes this mid wave and then takes tier 1. We're back to even.
So
right?
basically, Twist is probably landing there saying, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna buy more time for Carrot and JayzCasts to basically push mid.
Maybe, but I think he thinks his dick is gigantic. He's got no petrify, no alt. Powerful can bail him out, but that's on condition, right? They have everything. There is 4 people on this side of the map. They know Buji has his alt still. So like I don't see how this is ever going to work.
The BD
If he gets hit by the
guess.
sun, watch this. He dies for free. I think even he recognized
He baited everybody in.
Yeah, and then everybody, like, Sayla ends up getting punished for this, which is so sad. Like, well played to Anep. He played that well. Powerful, he has to use his ult and get out of there, but look at how strong Anep is at Trinity build plus Dew. Plus Bloom. He's so strong. His on-hit effects are ridiculous. Okay.
On top of the golden stuff and everything.
Yeah, so they have the Trinity build on top of the extra on-hit damage from the Yun's passive. Okay. Oh.
Rose gold.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm Bill fine. Vera was not ready. Was not ready for Natan. He did not expect that to happen. No reason for him to do that, honestly. Okay. He wins the 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's pull this sequence back here. Let's just pull this back. What I've noticed is that Evil, they get a decent start, but somehow it just doesn't happen. I don't know whether Homeboys are just making insane play after insane play to make this work, or they're really just pulling it, like, clutching out of their mind.
I think I think it's really just Homeboys clutching it.
Because right now, this is where the Lord Dance comes into play. I think there is pretty much no reason. There is a bit of a reason, but I think that what Evil should have done is postured for the Lord. They need to make sure that Homeboys don't feel comfortable in the position that they're in.
They are already not confident because Crew is down.
Yeah, he's dead. He's dead as shit, right? And Carrot, he's got Flicker, so maybe he can make something happen with the Holy Baptism. And I think this is where Evil get very confident here, right? They know that Anip doesn't have his Purify. So this could be an angle to catch Anip. I think that's what is going through Evil's head right now. But one more thing. Don't forget that, like, Yuzong is not in this fight right now.
But they can
so
join
what happens?
anytime quickly. Maybe Powerful doesn't have heavy spin. Maybe that's why.
Yes, it's true that he doesn't have heavy spin, but it all boils down to how long can you drag this, right?
Okay.
Can you find the angle to punish Anip or maybe punish Sap? Because Buji at this point, he still has Netherrealm, right?
Yep.
I think what there's 3 decisions that need to be made here. Either they try to burst down one guy, which is either Sap or Anip, who's currently in mid, or I think in this case, Evil want to get the Netherrealm out of Buji. So they play, Buji walks up, Twist, he's walking up as well, has to catch that mid wave. So now the Lord Dance is in play, and it's going back and forth between Powerful and Stab.
And it's a 4v4.
Both of them are doing it. And it's a 4v4. I think it's more beneficial for Homeboys to actually reset this lord, and Evil is like, no. It's a tug of war. Yeah. I want you to walk closer every single time. Sap tries to land. Okay. Heavy spin comes off of cooldown. Really nicely done by Powerful.
Ooh.
What happened here?
Appraiser's
Let's slow it down even more. Wait. Let's slow it down even more. It's not just the Appraiser's Wrath, right? Because Powerful, is he a level ahead? No, he's not a level ahead. Anybody have burst? Like, Natan could technically, like, hit it as well. Oh, that's
Red
so
tree.
unlucky.
Oh, Red Tree, Appraiser's Wrath with a heavy spin tick. It's probably spamming both things at the same time.
Wait, let's see how
because Powerful did Red Tree.
He gets knocked up. That's so sad. That's so sad. The Lord. Oh man, because he was still knocked up. That's why.
Yeah.
Man, that's so unfortunate. And then all hell breaks loose. Anip whiffs his ult, but there's no. They're targeting Sap right now. They're like, we need to kill Sap. Twist, zone the rest off. He jumps for Yun. Yun flickers away. Sap ends up dying. Man, okay, man, that's
I like how Twist is really pushing Yun away so that they couldn't heal Sap.
Yeah, because what Yun can do is throw the crap, I forgot what it was called. Basically throw the snare and hit multiple people so that maybe Sap has an opportunity to hop over the wall. But the fact that he got the Lord was already like a big fucking deal here.
Yeah.
Okay, no entropy.
So in the early parts of the game, early to mid parts of the game, Evil was actually kind of winning. Right?
Yeah, they were. Honest to God, they were. So now, like, at this stage of the game, right? I think that Evil recognized that, like, man, we unfortunately, even though we are setting up some pretty good fights, one or two bad decisions have led to Homeboys actually taking a very slight lead over us, and the failure of execution has costed them even more. Okay. Again, Powerful. Wow, actually, Powerful is actually fucking insane at finding angles.
He's good.
He's good. All right, and then Anip. Nobody can get on Anip.
Oh yeah,
nobody get.
Oh my god!
Whoa!
This one.
Oh yeah. At this point, Natan has scaled, and Homeboys need to respect that.
Yes.
They're like, we can't just fight for no reason anymore. We need to start finding the main targets.
That's Vinokur's job, and that's also like Sap's job if he can.
No, not. It's not just Vinokur's job anymore. It's everybody's job, right?
Okay.
Because they need to relay that information to Anip so that he might have an angle to fight. JayzCasts. Yeah. And maybe like turn it into a 2v1 if he's too far in the back line, or if he already like uses his entropy for an example. I think that's the scenario that they're looking for. Or maybe if like Bougie is able to get like a really good Shadow Stampede and pull him. Okay, Cure, he's about to die again. Okay, he wants Sayla, ends up dying. Oh! Alright, they found it, right? Like, I'll pull it back. I'll pull it back. Okay, so remember when I was talking about resources? They're looking for Homebois SG is looking for an angle where they can actually get this Natan, and once Natan is out of the picture, they can start going for everybody else.
They don't need to necessarily kill Nathan, right?
Yes, because Natan is only strong when his passive is active and when he has, and he's the most dangerous in his entropy. So now that they know, hey, he just threw all his fucking spells out of here, the rest of his team is going to be like looking to cover him, right? And they're covering him well because he's already entropied out of the fight, right? This is where he's standing right now, and Sayla is heavily out of position. So Vin is thinking, okay, we can go this way. We can easily go this way. So they start pushing forward. Powerful sees the angle. He has to use the heavy spin to skew the fight in their favor. Anip walks up, and look at how much goddamn damage. They all line up for this.
They queued up for the damage.
Look at that. Bow! Look at the two backliners. Bow! 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 They just get shit on, and Jason's like, fuck that, Natan out. So now Evil has just learned something. They've learned, okay, we cannot line up. We need to know where Anip is.
Singaporean. Okay, do you know what's the best you know what's the pastime of Singaporeans?
Don't
Queuing
tell me
up.
playing bowling.
No, queuing up. They love queuing up. I'm serious. Like I've been in Singapore for this long. Whenever I see a queue, I just ignore the queue. But Singaporeans love the queue.
Oh man.
I don't know.
Oh, Anip is so fucked. He's so fucked. Okay. Buji's dead as shit. Oh, wait. Okay, decent all, but he still dies. The Lord falls into the hands of Evil. Like, they've got a pretty good win con here. So yeah, you can see it from this game alone, right? It's a tug of war of Natan and as well as Anip, and it's way harder for Anip and his team to execute the comp because he is the only source of damage. Buji is a decent source of damage, right? But what Evil has to do, as we saw in the previous fight, just don't clump up so close together, right? Nobody should be standing right behind. Yeah, nobody should be standing behind Powerful. Twists needs to create a separation between the front and the back, right? So imagine this. Right? Front line. They both have a line, right? And then we have the back line, right? We have the back line here and the back line here. So what needs to happen is that the front line shouldn't be so close. For Evil side, they should be positioned like this, away. So if anything happens, the front line can rotate and adjust accordingly, and the back line can start switching places with each other. The worst case scenario is if the back line lines up like this, or even like or they stand one on top of each other, either next to the front line or the back lines are like super close to each other like this.
Okay, I see it now.
So these are the two angles that they should be denying Homebois of. Because Homebois comp, it's all about straight lines, right? There's nothing like crazy. They don't want to go like this way. They don't want to go like that.
Yeah.
They don't. The only time, only the EXP laners need to think about going around the front line.
Yeah.
Those are the only people who are allowed to do that. The mages, right? The mage for Homebois, he can stand right next to the front line, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
He's still, because he's the Netherrealm guy. He's fucking Farmus. He wants to be as close to everybody as possible to apply the effect. But he doesn't want to be too close that Jess is able to like fucking do the same thing that Anip is doing, which is getting multiple people at once. So he doesn't want the collaterals to happen. So in retrospect, both of these comps are basically doing the exact same thing.
They want the enemy to find to a straight line.
Yeah.
Because technically Jayz is also doing the same thing. If everybody stays in one line and there's entropy, there's just flying balls everywhere.
Exactly, right?
Okay.
I think that both comps do the exact same thing. They want to do the exact same thing. It's how they achieve it. How do they set it up? And I think that Evil around neutral objectives is a lot better than Homebois SG, which I now recognize. So it was all about whether Homebois SG was able to rotate fast and create a 5v4 situation, which is what their comp wants to do. But now we're getting into the later stages of the game. This is where it's kind of like both comps, in terms of strength, is about the same. Okay, Sap gets pushed away. Really nice by Powerful. Really, really nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. Wait, how did Evil lose this?
Exactly, that's why I picked this game. Now I remember now.
This is an endgame scenario.
Yeah, this is an endgame scenario.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Anip was just shredding them apart.
What the fuck happened? What the fuck?
Yeah.
How did it all go wrong? Every single time. It looked like Evil in all three of the situations where I paused it and slowed down. Evil is like doing a much better job. I'm gonna be real. I think Homebois SG probably should have lost this.
Yes.
Okay. So they go in. They've zoned out. They've lost two of their biggest ultimates already. Anip goes for the Lord. They're doing it. They're lining up. They shouldn't be lining up. Entropy just is wasting a lot of time. He should just be honestly, everybody should be focusing on that crystal. They don't do it in time, and then Anip just pops off. Could they have closed this out sooner? Let me see. How many minions did they have walking up? 2 minions. Man, the high ground defense just because they had Moskov. Okay, so those 2 minions eventually die right
From
about
collateral.
Veer. Veer ults the wave. He
The
might have
quantum charge
just...
as well. No quantum.
Concussive Blast. Concussive Blast
Oh
plus,
yeah,
plus the ult.
concussive blast. That's right. Damn.
Yeah, because this is... Everybody should have been hitting the crystal, right? Like, there's no reason for them to be doing anything else but hitting the crystal. Like, Twists, he jumps to try and zone them away from the wave. Okay, sure enough. But then Sailor, Kara, and Powerful should all be hitting the crystal. They don't do enough damage.
Oh.
So they try, and No Cure jumps in and literally saves the game right here.
You found the kill.
And then he ults, he goes behind them and kills everybody. Anip makes the play of his life. And Anip didn't trust Yun. He didn't trust Yun! Yun flickered for it! He could have chased it if he wanted to be fair. He could have chased it if he wanted to. Alright, that's fine, that's fine. Man, wow, Anip did kind of pop off. Holy shit.
Now you know why the Moscow Prior pick.
Huh.
I think it's gonna get permaban right now after
No,
this game.
I don't think it's because it's such a great pick. I think it's, unfortunately, once the game plan, like, I don't think Evil has the foresight, right? I think there's a lot of moments, like, they communicate what they want and just that. Everything after that is free game.
Boonga boonga.
I think they're not talking about, like, hey, we can't be, like, walking up in a line like that. We need to be, like, who is doing what? Where are the positions, and what are your cooldowns? I think that's the most important thing that Evil is not communicating fast enough. Or it's either hold on, let me think about this. It's either they're not communicating it fast enough, or nobody is taking it into account. I mean, it's not, to be fair, depending on the team, sometimes it's not their job to keep account of, like, oh, whether my teammate has a cooldown or not. Usually it's just an ultimate, right? But now, here we go. Another endgame, another, like, important Lord dance for Evil. Okay, zoned him out. Okay. Okay. Alright, let's slow this down. I gotta give it a Powerful, though. He is playing the Mina Kai. He's playing the Mina Kai.
Yeah, that's what he's probably also, he's really hard carrying the whole team. He's also the coach and also the captain of the team.
Nobody clear. Fundamentals. Alright. Alright. So fundamentals of a Lord dance, right? There is pulling the Lord to your side, pulling the Lord to the enemy side, right? Obviously, like, this is red, this is blue. Generally, blue side wants to pull it closer to them. And we talked about it earlier, what's the most ideal situation for a fight, correct?
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
So now that we know what the ideal situation for the fight is, then they didn't check this bush. And I think this is a bit of a mistake coming in from Evil's side, because they are holding the line, they are holding the battle line like this. Because they're just, they think this is what it is currently because we can see everything, right? Evil don't realize, Evil think that they have this all to themselves.
Yeah.
So they think that they have a lot more space when in reality, this area here is the danger zone. If not, I would say even more like this area here is the danger zone. Like, that's where they absolutely should not be walking up to, because they can get jumped on, right? Especially if they're by themselves. Somebody should have cleared, oh wait, sorry, I forgot about the fundamentals. When you are having to play for this Lord dance, the important thing is lane priority. That's number 1.
Okay.
Which lane, where are the lanes pushing? Where are the lanes pushing? Now, we see that Anip is up here on the top side, right? He can join if he lands the arrow.
Yeah.
But in Evil's mind, okay, they've got 3 pushing waves. Currently, the mid wave is neutral.
Yeah.
So there's a window. So let's put N here. So this is a neutral wave. Nothing is going to happen here, and the wave had just spawned because it spawns at the 4th second. Now, They need to clear out bush A here. Vin's bush currently, which is the beetle bush. They need to have a position where they can draw a line in the sand, which ideally is here. Everything behind this line needs to be in control of evil. Right? Everything behind this line here needs to be in control of evil. They need to be worried if, from Tribe Rush, they get walked up on. That's totally fine, because Powerful has vision over this area. When he's standing here. Or even where he's standing right now, right? He can generally see around this area. So let us play this out in slow. So they walk up. They start fighting. They start fighting for this space. They don't recognize that this has already been compromised, right? And Sap, he sees the angle. He sees the angle. Yun also sees the angle. Buji, now Buji is in a tough spot because now somehow he has to walk past Sayla, walk past Powerful, and get to Veered. But he's got Shadow Stampede, so he can literally run beeline it like this.
Yeah, okay.
Because he can go through walls. So they wait for it to get decently low. Now this is where all hell breaks loose, right? Because when you have the Lord relatively low to retry range, that's when comms get very, very messy because everybody is focused on a different thing. Wait, let's slow this down even more. Let's see exactly what happens. So we know that Jis gets jumped on.
Okay.
He gets jumped on. Sap, he still needs to kind of hold the front line, but they know they can't really do much about Mr. Black Dragon here. So Sayla is going to stand in a position where he affects the most amount of people, which is Carrot, Powerful, and Twist.
Yeah.
Sap gets knocked in a really weird angle. Can't do much about it because he managed to dash. Okay, Marksman gets chunked. Holy Baptism comes. But like we said at the very beginning, who are the enablers? The enablers. So despite... Okay, I'll pull it back I'll pull it back and you'll see the exact moment where it happens. So we see... Okay, keep your eyes on Veer, right? And keep your eyes on both Carrot and Jis. Those are the two people that we need to keep our eyes on. Forget about everybody else. So we play it out. He jumps. He gets the stun right here. Anip uses his ult. As soon as this connects. So the arrow is mid-travel right now. And Holy Baptism comes out. Boom! TP's behind. Gets Jis. And now Anip has to fight for his life. Dashes even further backwards.
But he pushes Jaces away.
Exactly. We don't get to see what exactly happened here, but Anip is outplaying this entire situation when he should have died. And they end up losing, Evil end up losing the Lord because the fight is too split apart. Like, Sayla cannot find a good angle to actually get a nice Netherrealm. And somehow Buji was able to beeline it, goddamn beeline it towards Anip's side. And Yun, he doesn't have to do that. He just presses his ult to keep Anip alive.
That's the power of Florin. That's why we're seeing a lot more Florins in MPL Singapore recently.
I think it's because people are too scared to play setters.
Yeah.
I think a lot of teams would rather have an easier hero to play compared to having a high risk, high reward style based on their mechanics. Dude, everybody here is so happy, and I'm guessing that the person on the far left here is their EXP later.
Pinocchio, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. He's the only one who's like, dude, I sucked at that game, but man, he literally saved the game twice.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's their first win. It's their first series as well.
It's their first series.
First
I would
series
say
win.
that. I think that Homebois, they need to. They got pretty lucky here. I'm not gonna lie. Evil had a significant advantage a couple of times.
Cypher texting already.
Cypher texting is just like, okay, here's what we gotta work on.
Taking notes or texting.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think that Anip, like, he was like,
Yeah.
he in terms of like carrying, maybe he wasn't carrying as hard as Jis, but he definitely was outplaying a lot of situations where he should have died.
Yeah. And what do you think about Homebois based on this particular game itself?
Homeboys, I think
Yeah.
they're very I think that they're very young. I think, you know, the decisions that we've seen them make here, like, let's just pull this. Let me pull it back and show you what are some amateur, or what feels. Well, I don't want to say
Is
amateur.
it the Vinocure engagement at the early game?
Yeah, that was one of them. That was one of them.
Oh,
I
that
think
was
the
one of
other
them.
one,
Okay.
like this fight here, this felt very amateur. There was no reason for them to fight. Honestly,
Okay.
there was no reason. They should have just waited for level 4, right?
Mm.
Because inevitably, what both of their comps boil down to is who can get the most bang for buck for their ult. And I think that Homeboys generally, even without their ults, are more effective than Evil's comp. Like, Evil is very much reliant on their ults, right? But let's talk about people who aren't reliant on their ults. People like Anip on this Moskov. His auto attacks fucking hurt. Jess is dependent on cooldowns. He's dependent on CDs. Anip is dependent on auto attacks, right? Sap. He basically doesn't need his ultimate. The ultimate is like a nice touch to Fredrin, but generally he's a frontliner who needs the tank, and he can tank because of his passive. And because of his passive, he is like an ultra tank. He is a tank. He is just thick no matter what. Powerful compared to Sap isn't as tanky. He is like A star in terms of utility. He is A star for all you IGCSE Singaporeans out there. A star for utility, but in terms of how tanky compared to Sap, he's probably like probably either A to like B star, right? He's not the tankiest thing in the world compared to like Baxia, compared to like all the traditional tanks. But what sets him apart is his ultimate. So without their ultimates, Evil's comp starts to crumble. And we see this happen multiple times throughout the game, right? A lot of like weird ults, a lot of like motions. Where was that one really weird? I think it was this one. Oh, this happened afterwards, right? Yeah, when Twist was basically fighting this, that's totally fine. But the motion that happened after, where he ends up like dying here, that one is unacceptable. That one is like an unacceptable mistake. I think that was like, man, that never should have happened, right? Homeboys on the other side is got lucky because Evil made too many of these types of mistakes, right? And it's not like their comp can't do anything about it. It's just that their comp requires you to scale pretty late into the game before you can actually do anything. So they generally played their comp pretty decently, and if it wasn't for Anip making like some super plays here and there, I think that Homeboys probably would have been at a bigger deficit throughout the game, and they should have been okay, right? Where is it? Where's the other like really weird mistake that... is it this one?
The one where they line up together around the fight in the mid lane.
Because we're talking about how I feel about Homeboys, right? I know that Evil, some of their players are pretty decent. They have the angle down. I just think that the comms need to be a little bit better. For Homeboys SG, in terms of like the game plan, and the way that specifically they play these Lord dances is really, really risky. Like, let's take this one for an example, right? This one, they got so lucky that Evil didn't just sniff out where Veer is. And I think that Homeboys, in situations like these, they need to start posturing. They need to like show presence here. Like Sap should walk up. Sap should walk up to here. Yun doesn't need to show himself, right? But they need to predetermine where the line is. Sap should walk up to about here, so that he has like an angle to potentially escape if Powerful decides to heavy spin for him, right? But they also need to create some kind of space. They need to create some space here so that at least Buji is able to get in on the fight. Because if he uses Shadow Stampede to get to where they are, then Evil know that something is up, right? That everybody's going to be in this tribe rush.
Okay.
I think that Homeboys, the way that they play their Lord dances can definitely be a little bit better. And I think that I think that the small synergies that they have, like Anip has with the rest of the team, like individual members, like Veer, for example, or maybe even like with Sap, is pretty decent, and honestly is what made the difference.
Wow. Okay.
Because if not, this play wouldn't have happened at all, right?
Yeah,
Sap starts
okay.
walking up like we expect him to, and then Sayla decides, oh crap, we can't let him like walk up too far. If not, then Farmis is going to be able to regroup the rest of the team. So that's exactly what they do. And then Sayla is trying to zone as many people away, and I think he really needs to stop like standing so close to people.
Okay.
The moment he walks away, oh man, that could have been a two-man ult. The Holy Baptism comes out a little bit late, and then this fight is basically over, right? This whole sequence is because Evil is making the mistake. I think that Homebois SG against a better team probably would not have been so lucky. That's my general thoughts on it.
Man, truly amazing. Thanks, Gideon. So
I
really
suppose,
appreciate
I
all of this,
suppose.
man. This is so informative, and
I generally think that Homebois SG, they're linear. They're pretty linear. They're playing straightforward compositions, and it's very Singaporean-esque. And of course, the person who needs to play the high mechanic hero obviously is going to be the Malaysian. So I think that's pretty ironic, to be fair. Because again, it's like, you know, Anip is the only Malaysian there, and he's like willing to play a high-risk, high-reward marksman like Moskov. If he had missed a single one of these arrows, if he didn't outplay a couple of these situations, Evil would have straight up won. Like, it's 17-12, and Jizzes is 11-2-1. And earlier, he was like 10-0.
yeah. Alright, thank you very much, Gideon. Appreciate it. So thank you very much for joining us for this time round. Hope to see you guys next time. Thank you.